Welcome to It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. What is it? It's everything. Everything you want in life starts with courage.
Know your flow.
Know your flow. Oh, flow of the week. Flow of the week. So, what's up, Jen?
What's up?
Somebody said, there was one episode where I said, Jen, you was like, hey, Kat, am I boring? They're like, yeah, Jen, you need to perk up a little. Sound as excited.
Somebody said I was boring?
No, they said at the beginning, you was like, yeah, hi, Kat. So she doesn't sound as excited to see you. Are you never excited to see me?
I'm always excited to see you.
Yay. Ooh, okay. So I'm now week 6 into my preparation.
Why don't you remind everybody of what you're preparing for?
So I decided to do my first ever bodybuilding competition, but in the wellness category. So there's 4 different categories. There's like bikini, wellness, physique, and bodybuilder. I'm going for level 2, basically, from level 4. It's been very busy the last 6 weeks. Every day, I told you I've been waking up like 3 something, close to 4, and getting everything started. And I was reading a New York Times article the other day, and it was talking about flow over balance. I think so many of us, and I often preach this a lot, I'm like, find the balance. But when you think of a balance, or at least a balance scale, when one thing is up, usually something is down. Or if you are in balance, everything is equal. You're really having to hold up so much, and in order, or not put as much effort into one over the other in order to maintain that balance. And this article basically said, when we maintain balance, you're basically not putting your all into any one thing at a given time, because you want to balance all round, equal everywhere.
Yeah, I 100% see what you're saying, but I don't think like when I'm needing balance, like I don't really think, I'm trying to hold everything in balance. I'm more thinking like there's one part of my life that's really out of balance that's causing everything else to be out of balance. Like I don't think of like all of these things that I gotta spend 5 minutes doing this because I spent 5 minutes doing this, and I have to, like I think like in maybe I'm different, but in terms of like we always use the phrase like work-life balance, and that's where I think a lot of people are super out of balance.
Work-life balance, yes, as in either you're not spending enough time at home and you're more at work, getting that in sort of in between. So completely understand where you're coming from. I suppose where I was reading it was to say work-life balance. When most of us strive for work-life balance, we're typically working for somebody, right? So it's, I'm giving you X amount of hours here. This is so that I can go home and be with my family, right? There's typically a salary, let's say, a cap. But if, as an entrepreneur, do you think entrepreneurs can really achieve work-life balance if you want to be successful in your business, let's say?
I think I think you go into spurts of that. Like I think there's a time in your career in entrepreneurship where you are like hustling really hard and you're out of balance. And then I think there's times where you can like kind of coast through. I would say it's kind of like sales jobs, really, like any insurance, real estate, like any kind of sales, like pharmaceutical sales, medical sales. Like when you first get started into sales, it's like a grind and a hustle, and you're like always making calls, you're always doing this, you're, like you're hustling and you're out of balance.
Yeah.
But then like 10 years into it, you've built these relationships and database of people where, you are not having to make those phone calls every day, and your phone is ringing from referrals or past clients calling you back to, do business with you.
Mhm.
And so does that make sense? Like,
It
I
does
think in
make
a in
sense.
a in an entrepreneurial way,
Hmm.
like, you're not going to get in as an entrepreneur and say, "Okay, I'm getting in this for balance."
Right.
You're getting in there like you got to want to hustle
Yeah.
and work really hard for probably years
Yeah.
or before you have the opportunity to.
And I think though, I personally think that it applies everywhere. I think that, we all know about this idea of balance. We all want to achieve balance. But I think, as you said, like as an entrepreneur, you go through that grind stage. You go through where you're really focusing here. It means that everything else is out of balance, right? While you're working here
Mhm.
until you eventually get to that place you've reached the success you wanted to reach, and your attention may end up going elsewhere because this now flows on its own. So I think that's where I understood the idea of achieving a flow. Our lives are always changing. So when you go with the flow, it's almost, you're not saying you have to be balanced everywhere, but at this given time, you're concentrating on building your business, right?
Mhm.
Things in the rest of your life are going to flow differently.
Mhm.
So you're not stressing yourself about, I need to be balanced, I need to be balanced, this needs to be happening, this needs to be, I need to be the perfect friend and do this and do that. But it's being, I think it's that self-awareness where okay, this is where I'm currently concentrating at. This is where my headspace is. I understand that at the moment, this may suffer, this may be neglected, this may, and when it gets to a point, if you're self-aware enough, I think there may be times where you're like, okay, I really need to stop this and pick this up for now. This article basically said the idea of balance while really chasing and achieving a dream or a goal is really irreconcilable. Like the two can't coexist. You can't have balance and be a go-getter at something.
Mhm.
It also gave an example. I'll link the article in the podcast. It also gave an example of like, which I thought was a cute example, people falling in love, right? When people fall in love, typically, usually their life is not balanced because you don't know. You're going with this feeling. You're just maybe doing spontaneous things that you'd have never otherwise done. It may take time away from your friends who you'd have always hung out with, who you would have considered as part of your balanced life.
Mhm.
It may take time away from, I don't know, your friends or that hobby that you used to do. You're technically out of balance there, but it's just a different flow. It doesn't mean that things are bad. It
Mhm.
just means that you're concentrating on something else. And I feel these last 6 weeks, I can pretty, I can definitely say, like, okay, I know how I typically communicate with my family, what standard hasn't been the same over the last 6 weeks. It doesn't mean I love them any less or I don't care about them any less. It's just that my flow right now, my schedule is different up until I've achieved or I've finished with the competition. It's just my flow is different at the time. And I think that if I was in a mindset of trying to find balance, I would be highly stressed during this time.
Yeah, 100% agree.
I would be highly stressed if I was trying to communicate with everyone, have time for all the same things I used to have time for or I used to dedicate time to. Now that time is currently elsewhere. My prep may take me longer. So many other things are just taking that time.
Mhm.
And I think, I'm self aware enough in that when I can, I make sure to communicate that to say, hey, this is where I'm currently, this is what's going on, so that they also know. While I value those relationships, but right now, the flow is not allowing me to have them in my life the way that I would want.
Yeah, I think we're spot on.
Yeah. And like, I wanted to talk about that, like just balance over flow, that everything's not always going to be balanced. You won't always be able to fit everything in. in the same way.
And your flow may be different every week, every month. It's just what needs the attention more at this moment.
Yeah, at the time.
One of the things that you said that I think is like key on that is how you said, like, you let your family know that this is what's going on. Because I think there's, especially on the relationship side, if you call someone all the time and they stop calling, or we always like think, did I do something wrong? Like, is something, like, what's going on? Like, we always take it personally.
Yes.
And so by setting the expectation of like, hey guys, like, I'm not going to be on these weekly calls or
Yeah.
chats much over the next few weeks just because of what I've got going on, then I think it helps them accept it more because they know it's like a temporary thing. It's
Yes.
not like you're going through a midlife crisis or anything like that, like it's important, especially to loved ones and friends, to kind of let them know,
to communicate.
and set that expectation.
And I think because at a time in the beginning, I was feeling very guilty. I was feeling very guilty because obviously your family, your friends, they love you. They want you around. They want to talk. And as you said, people can take things personally. And sometimes I would wake up when I'm waking up and think about that, and worry and think, is so-and-so thinking this? Like, if you miss a special event, is someone so taking it personal to say you don't care anymore? So definitely that communication, I think, just number one, understanding your flow at the time, but also remember other people's flows change too.
Yeah.
Other people's flows change. It's not about you always. It just may mean that the river's not flowing in that direction at the time.
Yeah.
So
I think that's great advice.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it was a short, quick one, but there it is, guys.
Know your flow. Thanks for listening to this episode of It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. If you like this episode of the podcast, visit our website, iswcpodcast.com, for show notes and other cool things.